Good morning, friends, and welcome to my channel, Evolving One Step at a Time. Today, we're talking about budgets. Now, when I first started on this journey, as I mentioned before, I watched many videos on the debt snowball and your envelopes and getting out of debt, and they were all very helpful. But one thing that I had some trouble with is relating where they were and what they were talking about as far as how much money they were spending in different categories to my situation. Just because it seemed to me that most of the people that I was watching were bringing in more income than I was at the time, and still now. And what I wanted to do is share with y'all my budget, but I wanted to do it in a breakdown of percentages. That way, regardless of how much money you make, whether or not you're making $150,000, or if you are more in my range, you're making about $20,000, maybe $25,000 a year, then you can relate to my budget and see how my categories are in comparison to yours. Okay, so first thing I want to say is I am currently at the point, thank you Lord, that I am debt free. We paid off the car. I had a huge credit card bill and student loans, and then little things here and there, an electric company from when we lived in Austin, Time Warner Cable from where we lived in Austin. So had several bills that we had to take care of. So in the beginning, what my budget looked like was the bare bones, with everything that was extra. Once I had put my $1,000 for my emergency fund aside, absolutely everything that I could possibly come up with went towards that debt. And it took me about 2 years to take care of everything. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't necessarily always do the Dave Ramsey method in regards to paying off your lowest first. I understand the concept, but I think that's a little bit of the accounting person in me. I'm a business major. I'm like this. I want to pay off the higher interest as quick as I can, because then I'm paying less on that. I understand the theology behind it as far as encouragement and things like that. I just couldn't get over that business side as far as I needed to pay off the high interest the quickest. Now, if there was a month that I had a large sum of money and there was a small bill that came in and I could just take care of it, yes, I would do that, and that felt really good. But the bulk of my money, the extra money, went towards my student loan and the car and things like that, things that had interest attached to it. That is just my method. You have to find what works best for you and your family. Let's get into my budget. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is my fixed expenses. Those are expenses that, regardless of what's going on, they're going to be the same. And we're talking about pretty much my phone, my cable bill, my car insurance, my house, and the sitter for Mackenzie for when I'm working. Those things are not going to change regardless of what I try to move around. Now, yes, my car insurance did go down a little bit when I changed policies, but until I do something like that, I consider that a fixed expense. And when I get the new policy, if I find something that's better, then that's the new fixed expense amount. But right now, in regards to my income, I spend 20% of my income on my house. I spend 3% of my income on car insurance, 4% on cable, 3% on the phone, and those are cell phones. We do not have a landline. And then 8% on Mackenzie's sitter. Those are my fixed expenses. Then we get into the things that change from month to month and that I have a little bit more control over the amounts. Now, I budget 13% of my income for utilities for 10 months out of the year. I bump it up to 16% of my income in my budget for those months that you will be using additional funds for heat. December and January tend to be higher months for me, so I go ahead on and budget a higher amount for those months. Now, one thing about the utilities is that I still have control over it in regards to keeping the heat a little bit lower and wearing long sleeves and things like that in the house. I'm amazed when I go to people's homes and, you know, they have that heat cranking and they're wearing short sleeves. It's winter. Put some long sleeves on and save you a little bit of money. But anyway, yes, I try to keep the utilities as low as possible. Cutting off lights when you leave the room. Turning off the TV when you leave the room. Simple things that, you know, people disregard and don't understand that those little things add up over time. My other half, he does not do that at all. And so that's just one of those things that irritate me, but you know, you've learned that that's just him. So I'm always going around cutting off lights and TVs and things like that that he's left on. So that's an additional way that I try to keep the utility bill low. Unplugging small appliances like my coffee pot, the slow cooker when I'm not using it, things like that. So, and the reason why I tell you all those things is that I have a set budget for the utilities, but a good majority of the time when I get the bill, it is less than what I have budgeted, which is the 13%. And what I do, that money goes towards savings. Okay? So why don't I make the budget a little bit less? Because I don't want to stress out when I get a utility bill and it is the amount that I have budgeted. The budgeted amount is on the higher end of what I typically see in an average month. So I know that I have my utility bill covered in my budget regardless, even if I am not on light patrol, cutting off every light in the house, we'll still be fine. And I don't have to worry about it. And then, you know, it's wonderful. I don't have to worry about that bill whatsoever. It's already in the budget. And then it's a happy surprise when I get my bill and it's less than what I budgeted, because then I can slide those extra funds into savings. So the next item is groceries. And what we have for there is 13% of our income goes towards groceries. And I figured that out really mainly as a per person. I like to spend $25 per week per person. Now, little bit, she isn't eating enough at this time for her to qualify for $25. I know that sounds horrible, but she's just not eating enough. There's more than enough food between the budget amount for me and Matthew that it's all included for her. I say that because there will come a time when she is eating more and we will bump up our monthly budget in groceries for her. So right now we do $200 a month in groceries, and I calculated that from $25 per person per week. Okay, so me and Matthew, we get $50 a week for groceries, and I typically go grocery shopping bi-weekly, so when I go to the grocery store, I have $100 to spend. Then I have what I call my McKinsey fund, and what comes out of that is her diapers, her wipes, cold medicines, ointments, if I need to get special lotions for her, because me and her, we both have issues with our skin. What else comes out of that? If I see something cute at the store, or if while we're out she sees something that she wants to pick up, something that's on the inexpensive side, then I will pick that up for her. And so her budget is 3% of our income monthly, and that covers all of that. Now, when I underspend in that category, that does not go into our typical savings. What I do for that is, if I underspend in her envelope, then that money goes into a savings account for her. So I try to keep that. I try to keep a close eye on that and make sure that I am calculating that correctly, you know, because you'll go to the grocery store, you'll go to Dollar General. I won't just pick up diapers, I'll pick up other things, but I want to make sure that when I pull out her money that I don't have any of the household items included in that, because it's very important to me that all the money from her envelope goes into her savings if there's any extra. Household. I budget 3% towards household, and what that is toilet paper. We're trying to get away from paper towels, but when I do purchase them, it comes out of that. My cleaning supplies, gloves for when I have to have gloves for washing dishes, the dog food, their flea and tick squirt stuff that comes out of the household fund. Just all of the little odds and ends that you need in regards to keeping up a house. You gotta clean it. You gotta keep toilet paper in the bathroom and stuff like that. So that is 3% of my income. Then we have gas. That is 8% of the income. And then for me, for my fund money, 3% goes towards that. And any of the items, like I said before, any of the items that I underspend in, that money goes towards savings. But the big thing is that when I'm doing my budget, when I originally started this, I always wanted to live below my means. I didn't want to just be making it. So when I looked at everything and all the categories, I did the allocations with the thought process that regardless if I spent every penny in every one of those categories, I would still have money left over for savings regardless. And so that's what I did. The total of all of my amounts is only 82%. So that means I have 18% left over for savings every month. And when I say 18%, I want to explain that that is for actual savings for emergency fund and baby step 3, but also that is for my sinking funds. Typically, at the end of every year, what I do is reevaluate all of my sinking funds, see how much I have in each category currently, and what needs to be moved over into those accounts. Then I prioritize them, because to me, I don't necessarily need to have a fully stocked Christmas fund in January. Even though I do buy Christmas all the way throughout the year, it doesn't need to be the full amount in January. I just need a little bit in there to get things started, because this is just a little hint. January is a great month to buy toys for your little ones. So actually, typically in January, what I'm buying is birthday presents. And then in July, when the toys go on sale again, I'm buying for Christmas. So I categorize my sinking funds in a priority order, and that's how I put money into my sinking funds. And I only typically put 8% into the sinking funds, and then the 10% goes into the savings. Once all my sinking funds have been taken care of, then I put the full 18% in savings. Anything extra, it goes into either one at the same percentage, but typically I like to have a little bit more than 18% that I'm dealing with at the end of the month. But on the low end, I have budgeted for 18% to go into those. At this moment, we're really not putting any money towards savings, because this is it's a weird season in our financial career. I don't know what you want to call it. This is just a season in regards to, we're trying to get the house together for us to move and things like that. And because of the timeline, my savings needed to come to a temporary halt. Is that the word? I had to stop it for a moment and funnel any of the savings into my sinking fund for the house and different expenses with that. I'm hoping, the game plan is that by at least March of next year, that everything will go back to normal, and we will be working towards our normal sinking funds and savings, and we will be working on baby step 3 again. But just because of this season, things are all going towards the house. And that's going to happen. You have different seasons. You have different things that comes up. You have different moments where you have to shift your priorities, and that's fine. That's when you have to look at what you're working with and find out what is the best avenue for you at that moment, because it is going to be ever changing. Ever changing. That's all I can say on that one. To wrap things up, do everything possible to use less than what you have in each budget line outside of your fixed expenses. When you create your budget, create it with the mind frame of you want to live below your means. So you don't want to have your budget be 100% of your income, because then you've already set yourself up to live paycheck to paycheck. You want to budget with knowing that you have to have some savings for you to move forward in this journey. So that is the biggest key. No matter what your income is, you have to live below your means in order to make the savings that you need. As far as the line items, things that I have done that have helped me tremendously, this is not for everybody. I know this, but I have the time to coupon. I am able to look for different deals and things like that. If there will come a season that I won't be able to do that, but that has helped me thus far. So that is one way that I save. Not so much in the groceries department. I mean, here and there I might save a little bit with coupons, but really and truthfully, the savings for me is just shopping the sales and knowing my price points and buying from the store that has that price point at a very even rate. But the couponing mostly has benefited me in my household supplies and with items for baby girl in regards to her wipes and her diapers and things like that. Cooking at home, oh my gosh, that is just a life changer in regards to your budget. For what I can feed my family, normally 2 dinners for $5. If I go out to eat, that's pretty much 1 meal for me. And that's if I'm going through to a fast food restaurant. If you're talking about going to a sit down restaurant, that's a whole nother ball game. You're looking at maybe 15 if you're being really good, maybe 20 if you're going to a sit down restaurant. So cooking at home has been major. Coming up with different ways to prevent what I call meal plan sabotage, because you know this is life, things happen. So coming up with different what do I want to call it? Coming up with different game plans. Plan A, B, C, and D. And you need all of them sometimes, because sometimes things just don't work out. So for those moments that, you know, A didn't work out, sometimes I make it all the way to C. So having those strategies in place has helped tremendously. But that's pretty much it. Please ask me any questions that you might have in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them in a timely fashion, and if I don't know the answer, I will either try to lead you in the right direction or find out myself and give that to you. Let's learn together. Don't forget to like this video if you want to see more that's similar to it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will talk to y'all guys again soon. Bye.